Yes, welcome into Sports Bet. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy Monday, April 24th. Big game breakdown, a tripleheader tonight in the playoffs. Play of the day before we get out of here. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Fun show coming up. And let's start with a crazy angle. This from Matt Youmans from Vegas Stats and Info Network, senior editor. This goes back a year and a half in the NBA playoffs. If you bet on the home team in Game 3, that's down 2-0 in the series. First quarter and first half, it's 20-2. The last year and a half, it's a perfect 10-0 this year, Teddy. It's incredible. It's 5-0 this year, but you go in first quarter and first half, and that's got there as well with these underdogs. It's just, it's simple, and people have been betting it blind because the season's on the line. You're going to come out with a big effort at home, and it's delivered for a year and a half.
Sure, and again, we're talking about a 20-2 ATS run, and the parameters are as simple as it gets. All you want is the team down 0-2 in any playoff series. In Game 3, you want them first quarter and first half. And as you mentioned, cashed every one of those over the course of the weekend and all those 2-0 series. We'll have to wait for it again in round 2. Definitely something to note when you see a 20-2 ATS run. Yeah, it'll catch your attention.
You could also say it's 22-2 if you count the Celtics. How about that? Bad beats. This one was tough. 3 was available early. It went off at 4. The Pacers +4 against the Cavs. They lose 106-102. Indiana led by 2 with 1:10 left. They don't score the rest of the game. And, of course, George misses the 3. They foul LeBron with 1 second left. He splits the free throws. I guess it could be worse. He could have hit both.
Well, yeah. And honestly, for the books, probably worse for the game to land on 4 than to land on 5. But this is a tough, honestly, it was a tough beat whichever side you had. Cleveland was in control of that game. They went 1 of 15 shooting, down the stretch. You don't expect that for the Cavs, and missing open looks. But Indiana, Cleveland's like, here, you take it. Indiana's like, no. Last 3 possessions, a pair of turnovers, and ugly turnovers in both those instances, and that missed jumper by George. Look at this stat, though. Cleveland is the first to advance to the second round. But I'm telling you, the Cavs, you look at that late season form where they were in covering numbers, here are the closest results in first round sweeps since going to 7-game series in the first round. And look at this. Pacers, Cavs, 16-point margin in the 4 victories for Cleveland, the lowest by far in NBA history in these 4-game sweeps. So the Cavs won, and they covered some numbers. But moving forward, none of my concerns about Cleveland has been answered yet.
A couple of records for LeBron. 21 straight wins in the first round. His last loss, 2012. That's a record. And 10 sweeps now in a best-of-7 series. He breaks Duncan. Duncan had 9. So he gets there with the win yesterday. Bad bets. 35-cent move on the Cubbies. They lose. The Reds avoid the sweep.
Yeah, and bettors hadn't seen anything out of Bronson Arroyo that they were excited about backing. In fact, the money had been pouring in against Arroyo. And we said the last time Arroyo starts, if you want to fade him next time, you better get in line early. We saw that 25-cent line moving. What happened to Arroyo on Sunday? No walks, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 7 strong innings of work. The Reds beat the Cubs.
Thanks for that 25-cent move. The Yankees won off the favorite, but they lost to the Pirates.
Yeah, and the Yankees had their 8-game winning streak that just concluded, but just 3-7 of all their other games. Even Nova, great focus against his former team. 7 innings pitched, only 1 run as the Pirates steal a 2-1 victory.
How about bad for the books? A couple sportsbook directors here in Las Vegas before the Golden State-Portland game said, as long as it doesn't land 6, we're okay. If it lands 6, we're in trouble. It fell 6. Golden State down 17 against the Blazers. They come back to win without Kerr.
Oh, yeah, and this was a really bad result for the books. Now, at a lot of books, this line got bet down. It was Portland money with Nurkic back in the lineup for the Blazers and Durant not playing for GSW. But anytime you're talking about a game landing on or right between the number or right around the number, when the books set the line, when the markets and the bookmakers have a line that's too accurate, it's not good for the books when it lands right on the number, and that Golden State winning by 6, certainly not a good result for the house.
The craziest 25 seconds you're ever going to see in a playoff game. ton of money, or a lot of money on the Rockets. They win. They beat OKC. The Harden turnover. Nene fouls Adams. Adams misses the free throw on purpose. Westbrook hits the three. Gordon tries to give it away twice. Robertson missing free throws. Great job by D'Antoni putting him on the line. And they killed him at bench points. Harden didn't play well. Houston still gets the win.
Well, that's just it. And Houston +2 to +1 at Oklahoma City. So not a good result for the house. All the money and the wise guy money came on the Rockets. As you mentioned, bench dominance. 64 points for that Rockets bench compared to only 22 for the Thunder bench. Nene, of course, was the highlight reel. 28 points on 12 of 12 from the field, 10 rebounds. Houston +26 with Nene on the floor on Sunday. And, of course, that was not a good result for the house. The total was bad for the books, too. That opened 225. It closed 223, and it landed 222. So all of that wise guy under money was winning wagers, not losing ones, which is never good for the house.
Couple more. 40-cent move on the Dodgers. They're back in McCarthy. He's off to a good start. Day one, and the Red Sox-Orioles total moved a full run. 9 down to 8, and it fell 8.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers only scored runs in one inning, but they got 6 runs in the top of the 5th. We're definitely seeing a trend for wise guys getting behind Brandon McCarthy right now. He's 3-0 with a 2.25 ERA, working at full health for L.A., and that 40-cent line move in favor of the Dodgers was not a good result for the house. And you talk about that full run move in MLB, that doesn't happen a whole lot, where a 9 goes down to 8 for a total. And, of course, it was an early sweat for this team when the Boston scored 4 in the top of the first. But we had one of those effectively wild games from Eduardo Rodriguez. Only 61 of his 108 pitches went for strikes. He walked 5 batters, but of the 19 batters that didn't get a walk, he only allowed 1 hit, allowing that game to stay under the opening total and push against the close.
And one more. The Rangers bet up from $1.55, huge steam, all the way to $2. They beat the Royals 5-2. They don't like Jason Hamlin at all. He's 0-2 with an ERA of 5 and change. The Royals 0-4 in his 4 starts, Teddy.
Yeah, and I mean, Texas with the sweep over Kansas City. It's been a real rough start to the season for the Royals. Hamill, rough result yesterday, obviously, and the Rangers taking a ton of steam and making the books pay for pricing them too low.
Yes. Up next, pivotal Game 5. It's the NBA TV series, right? Milwaukee and Toronto. And we'll get to the Wizards and the Hawks on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds. Get up to SBR Odds and Sportsbook Review. Make sure you're betting with a trustworthy shop. Game 5, NBA TV, 4 o'clock Pacific. Series tied at 2. Bucks and Raptors. Raptors 6, 192 the total. 3 of the 4 games have stayed under. And 3 times in the first 4 games, the losing team has scored 83 points or less. Toronto still struggled on offense in Game 4, but the defense was awesome. They made this game ugly from the get-go, Teddy.
Oh, they sure did. I mean, the Raptors only scored at 90.2 points per 100 possessions in game number 4, yet that was enough to win by double digits and cover the spread with relative ease because they held the Bucks to 78.4 points per 100 possessions. And here's a really, I think this is a meaningful quote from Dwayne Casey. Quote, "I always said we play better with our backs against the wall. It's a tough way to live, but I love our team's resilient personality. If we can consistently get everyone at their potential level, I think we'll be in good shape moving forward." And that was a big win for the Raptors. The way the Bucks stole Game 1 after Toronto had lost all those Game 1s at home, and the way they blew them out in Game 3, where you're like, is Toronto even going to compete in this series? For the Raptors to play the way they did in Game 4 is a difference maker in my mind. It's worth noting, the one game that did go over the total in this series was all about hot three-point shooting. 2 teams that aren't particularly good at draining three-pointers were red hot from beyond the arc in that ballgame, hence the one over that's cashed in this series.
You're right. Pace has been slow. Toronto's got to muck it up, and they should keep doing that tonight. DeRozan, awful in Game 3, 0 of 8 shooting. Game 4, dynamite, 33 points, 5 assists, but also, strange for him, 9 rebounds and 4 steals. DeRozan, quote, "I'm never too high, I'm never too low. I keep a level head. I knew lightning wasn't going to strike twice in the same place," end quote. But, it's the same thing with the Raptors. It's either Lowry or DeRozan are good or they're really bad, Teddy.
Yeah, I know. And with Milwaukee, at least you know what you're getting. But the pressure here on the Bucks, they got to find some offense. I mean, Toronto's offense has come and gone, and Lowry and DeRozan are great. Lowry and DeRozan are awful, and it's not like they've been necessarily better at home. I'm concerned here about Giannis and Chris Middleton. A duo that went 10 of 34 from the floor in Game 4. 11 turnovers, only 7 assists between them. The question is, Toronto knows how they want to play this series now. They want to play a grinder. They want to slow down the pace, and they want to force the Bucks into half-court offensive sets. Milwaukee's had success in fast breaks. They've had success when creating turnovers. They have not had a lot of good looks when it comes to executing their half-court offense against that Raptors defense. And, of course, it's the Bucks looking to avoid the turnovers this time around. Jason Kidd, quote, "When you turn the ball over 20 times, it's hard to have a pace. We have to do a better job with the ball." And if the Bucks are going to hang around in this game and have a chance to steal it, they do have to do a much better better job of handling the basketball against a Raptors defense that's been pretty feisty the last couple of games.
Yeah, they forced 20 turnovers. Kidd wasn't happy with that. Game number 2, live odds, sportsbookreview.com, 5 o'clock Pacific, TNT, Game 4. Wizards lead this series 2-1. Hawks at home 2.5, 211.5 the total. 114-107, 109-101. And then Atlanta thumped the Wizards 116-98. They took control early in Game 3, up 18 in the first quarter, and never let it get closer than 14 the rest of the way. It was the John Wall show for the Wizards. He didn't get any help, but Millsap was terrific for Atlanta, Teddy.
Well, yeah, look at this graphic, okay? The two starting front courts in Game 3. You have Millsap, Prince, and Howard for Atlanta, Morris, Porter, and Gortat for Washington. A duo that on paper, you're not going to say there's a huge edge for the Hawks. Well, there certainly was. The average per player for Atlanta in that front court rotation was plus 23, versus the Wizards was minus 17 while they were on the floor. A 50-18 point differential, a 29-16 rebound differential. As you mentioned, Millsap, 29 points, 14 boards, 5 assists. He only played 32 minutes. Atlanta plus 22 when he was on the floor. Mike Budenholzer's quote, "Paul was great. He got a lot on random shots. His activity on the pick and roll, without the pick and roll, mixing up what he does." The question, of course, can Millsap do it again against a Wizards team that at times this year had legit home-road dichotomy, playing very, very well in Washington, not as well away from home. So far in this series, home team 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread. Question is, can Atlanta put together a type of shooting game that they had in Game number 3, doing it again in Game 4?
Now we'll see where the Wizards are at as well. We mentioned Wall didn't get any help in Game 3. Beal 6 of 20 and 0 of 6 on threes, only 1 assist in 35 minutes. Wizards minus 26 with him on the floor. He's 27 of 68 in the series and 6 of 27 from 3. Here's Brooks. I like his looks. I've been saying it for the last couple of games. I like his shots. He's going to have to keep shooting them. We're going to have to keep getting him open looks like we have. Every player will go through a stretch of games, a few games, where you're not going to shoot the ball well. He'll bounce back, end quote. But, also, Teddy, you talked about the home road splits. The Wizards, they did this a lot this year where they fell behind big on the road, and sometimes they couldn't catch up. I want to see where they're at in Game 4. When the first quarter is very important to me in this one.
Yeah, no question. But the one thing that I'm confident that we're not going to see from Washington is another game where there's just no show in the first quarter. The Wizards were up 2-0. They were facing a Hawks team that, played with like their hair was on fire. And Washington didn't respond well early. And they never really made a run in the second half of that ball game. As we said earlier, they never cut the lead lower than 14 after that first quarter disaster. But I like the character of this Wizards team. I do not expect them, A, to fall behind the way they did early on in this one, and B, to miss all of those open looks. They had a lot of open shots in Game number 3. Just couldn't knock them down.
Yes. All right. We close with Golden State and Portland. And this is a fascinating handicap. How much of a downgrade is there with Kerr to Mike Brown? Is Kerr coming back? We'll get to all that coming up as the Warriors look to sweep the Blazers on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Wrapping it up on Sportsbet Betting Insight today. Big game breakdown continues. Live odds, go to SBR Odds and sportsbookreview.com. The second game of the doubleheader on TNT, 7:30 Pacific. Warriors try to sweep the Blazers. Golden State is 7-220 the total. 121 to 109, 110 to 81, and 119 to 113. The big comeback on Saturday night. No Kerr. Durant's questionable. So was Livingston. And the Blazers had a 13-point halftime lead. And this has been a problem the entire season. They had 67 points at the half and then fell apart in the second half. Golden State outscored them 65 to 46 first half. Lillard and McCollum, 39 points combined. Curry and Thompson, 22. Portland won the boards 23 to 12. Second half, Lillard and McCollum, 24. Curry and Thompson, 36. Golden State won the boards 24 to 18. Now, it's Mike Brown again. And who knows when Kerr is coming back, Teddy. What does this mean for Golden State if they might not have the Coach of the Year a couple years ago?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Mike Brown is not a coach who either you or I has seen a lot of that we admire in their career. And certainly Steve Kerr has earned our admiration given the success that he's had both in the regular season and in the playoffs coaching this particular Warriors squad. So there is something of a drop-off there. The question is how much? How do you quantify it? Is it worth a half point? Is it worth 2 points? I think it's worth something. Here's a quote from Kerr about his status. "This is not going to be a case where I'm coaching one night and not coaching the next. I'm not going to do that to our team, to our staff. We're hoping that over the next week or two, or whatever it is, I can start to make a definitive realization, a reduction, or just feel like I'm going to do this or not." So it certainly sounds serious for Steve Kerr, whatever the health problems are. But are we going to see him back in this series? Probably not. Certainly not if Golden State wins tonight.
Well, I don't know. He's in excruciating pain, and it's because of these symptoms from the back surgery. And he said any advice to people with back pain, don't get surgery. Tiger Woods just had his 4th surgery as well, so he's nauseous, and they're trying to talk to a doctor. But interesting quote there that if he's not going to come back for one game and then sit, and that's the right thing to do. Now, the Warriors, the last thing they need is another weapon. Look at McGee. Plus 24 in the 15 minutes he played in Game 3. Only 39 minutes in the series, but 35 points, 14 rebounds, 6 blocks, and 2 steals. He's 16 of 19 from the field, most of those dunks. Of players that played at least 700 minutes this season, only Embiid averaged more blocks per minute than McGee. Nurkic came back, 2 points, but 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and a block shot. He played in 16 minutes. Portland was +1 with him on the court, not expected to play. Now, what is Lillard and McCollum? What do they have to work with on offense? And does it impact their defense? Warriors only 7 turnovers, tied a franchise low. And we'll see if there's enough in the tank for those two for 4 quarters. And really, what's the motivation? Try to get inside the head of the athlete here. Are they going to win the series? No. Will they win Game 5 on the road? No. So if the going gets tough early, wonder if they'll pack it in because they're going to get eliminated anyways. Here's Stotts about the Warriors. They took it up to another level. They defended very well, created turnovers. Our offense stagnated. They pushed it out in transition as well as they have so far in the series. It's what they do. Put a run on you, end quote. And he's right about that. I mean, this team, what is it, six times they've been down 15 points in the playoffs the last few years, come back to win, and they did it again. That's the TNT doubleheader. Now, for Money Time, play of the day. Apologies out there, totally on me Friday. Talk Teddy off a winner. He liked the Rockets. I liked the Jazz game under, and that went over. So trying for the 6-1 run, had the loser that went on Friday. Bad job by me there. Money Time, play of the day, betting number 519. Nobody beats the Wiz, right? Let's take the Wizards plus 2.5. Wall, 29 points and 7 assists in Game 3. Morris, he should have had 30 points and 15 assists at least in that game on how many easy shots that they missed. Let's take the Wizards to bounce back and take a 3-1 series lead in this one after they were routed in Atlanta. They're the better team. Let's get it done. We're back Tuesday, NBA playoffs. Big show coming up the rest of the week as we get down close to the second round on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.